How's that? What do you mean? What do you mean Century of Cricket podcast? Oh, that's right. That's what it is. Yeah, it is a Century of Cricket podcast. And let's talk about the IPL. Now, the IPL over the years has introduced and reintroduced many rules, like the introduction of the auto no balls, the DRS system, and most recently, the new two bouncers rule. Now, you can't bowl two bouncers at the same time. You can bowl one and then one more in an over. But if you have been following the last two seasons of the IPL, then you must have heard the term impact player rule being mentioned way more than the rest. The first time I heard that term, I thought they were bringing back the players who have made the most impact on my life. But then I realized that Viv Richards wouldn't come out to bat anymore, so what's the point? Then I cried for a bit and then I finally Googled what it was. And folks, apparently there has been a lot of discourse around this rule since it was introduced. Some hate it, some love it, some don't understand it at all.
It's in the air, it's a six!
Okay, hello and welcome back if you're a regular, or welcome for the first time if you're new here. My name is Cyrus Broacha, a very famous veteran cricketer from Walkeshwar, Malabar Hill, where the poor live in India. I am very old and this is the Century of Cricket podcast brought to you by IDFC First Bank, where I talk about all things cricket. By the way, did you know that Tushar Deshpande from CSK was the first impact player to be used in IPL history? He came in place of Ambati Rayudu in the inaugural match of the 2023 season against Gujarat Titans. That was your IDFC first fact of the week. Now let's understand what is the impact player rule. To put it simply, the impact player rule is the advanced version of the normal substitute rule in sports. Now, according to the IPL governing body, the rule of the IPL's impact player is as follows. Take it down. Number 1. Teams need to identify the playing 11 and 5 substitutes at the time of the toss, and out of the 5 players named in the team sheet, let's say the names are Raju, Paju, Kaju, Siju, Iju, only one player, Kaju, can be used as an impact player. Number 2. Both teams are allowed to use one impact player per match, but it's not compulsory to use. You can not use it. Number 3. To call the impact player, the captain of the team will inform the umpire and he will signal the change. And finally, and most importantly, the impact player can only be an Indian player unless there are less than 4 overseas players in the starting 11. So you play with 3 foreigners, you may be allowed to change one later because that means you've added a 4th one. You can't have 4 and then add a 5th one by removing the 4th one because that, even though it's still 4, is actually 5. Get it? Simple maths. How a team uses an impact player with an example. Wow, I felt like a science teacher there for a second. Let me hold and enjoy the moment. Okay, students, class is in session. Today we will understand the law of impact player by taking CSK as example. Let's say CSK batting first. Shivam Dube, who is attacking better, he'll do his job with the bat, adding 40 to 50 odd runs in quick time. Then he can be replaced by Patirana in the next innings, who is a better death overs bowler. This change will ultimately increase CSK's chances of defending the total in the second innings. Okay, now your homework is to transfer 100 rupees to me. QR code is in the description. Quickly. Euros? Dollars? Up to you. Actually, don't send me the 100 rupees. Just put it in your IDFC First Savings account because that will give you a 7% return on it per annum and also credit the interest monthly into your account. That's from me to you. There have also been different versions of this rule in cricket in the past. Before I tell you that, let me just adjust my field. Vinay, back. Okay, all right. Okay. Like when the international cricket had introduced the super sub in July 2005, if you remember correctly. And apparently super sub is not the name of a very long sandwich. I found out the hard way. I ordered a lot of them and turned out they were people, not sandwiches. Although in some countries that's acceptable. Super sub was the name of the rule which was introduced in ODI cricket with the expectation that it would increase the role of all-rounders in the match. The idea, or rather the hope, was that each team, while naming the starting 11 before the toss, would also name a super sub who could replace any given member of the starting 11 at any point during the match. So you'd obviously have an all-rounder, a woke-friendly person in cricket. But of course, the teams went on to use either a specialist batter or a bowler and hope that they won the toss so they could have a real advantage. Because if a team had picked a batter as a super sub, and if they also won the toss, then they would choose to bowl first so they could use their best bowling ability in their starting lineup and then replace the bowler who was not a good batter with a genuine batter and have the extra batsman. And this would put the team who lost the toss at a disadvantage if they also picked a batter as their super sub. Now, many players felt and complained that this rule was in the favor of the team that won the toss. So what happened is many people were just practicing playing with the coin instead of actually batting, bowling or fielding. And that had to stop. And by March of 2006, under just 9 months of its introduction, this strange super sub experiment was dismissed and officially scrapped by the International Cricket Board. Their exact words were, "Band karo." Another version of this kind of rule was tried in the Big Bash League in Australia in 2020 when they introduced the X Factor rule. Okay, so here they have to sing every time they came onto the field. That's my bad Australian accent. I'll do that again. That's a different X Factor. This was the X Factor substitute rule. In this, teams were allowed to use one X Factor player after the 10th over to replace a batter or a bowler. But this rule was also scrapped a couple years later after it received a lot of criticism from players and experts. And by the looks of it, the impact player rule may also meet the same fate because it's also getting a lot of criticism from many pundits and cricketers themselves, including me. One of the most high-profile criticisms has come from the Indian captain Rohit Sharma, who very clearly stated that because of the impact player rule, he is not able to see if his Indian all-rounders can actually bowl or not. Players like Shivam Dube and Washington Sundar haven't gotten a chance in the last 2 seasons of the IPL to show their skills with the ball. In fact, Washington Sundar is how you describe Washington DC. Washington is Sundar. And because of that, it's making it very difficult for him, Rohit Sharma, to consider them as all-rounders ahead of the T20 World Cup in 2024. Shubman Gill has also gone on record to say that the impact player rule is giving an extra cushion to the batting team towards the end of the match, and that is why there have been so many high-scoring matches recently. Axar Patel, my personal friend, also said in an interview that because of the impact player rule, his batting position for Delhi Capitals has been uncertain. Although because of this rule, the entertainment value of the IPL has definitely gone high, but it is also IPL's duty and responsibility to hone the homegrown talent, which is being hampered if you're an all-rounder, like myself. So what do you think, guys?
बंद करो, घर जाओ, बंद करो.
And that's the people we work with. Should the impact player rule stay or should it be removed or should it be included in the T20 World Cup also? Let me know in the comments and spell correctly because I'm old and I get confused. This is all for the episode of the Century of Cricket podcast brought to you by IDFC First Bank. I will have to go now because if I talk anymore, I will need to sub myself with an impact player who will turn out to be a batter, and I want an all-rounder who can bowl as well as bat because I'm not sure if I'm batting first or bowling first. I want both the options, not one option. You got the point. Bye-bye.